Science began with a way to formulate things. And in order to do so, it had to assume that no one was changing the things while they were being formulated. It's as though you went to the grocery and you don't want the butcher to be putting his hand on the scales. So to get it the proper weight, they had to say there was no butcher. The weight was due to the object itself. And then they proceeded to find all these laws, found them very intriguing. They could explain the planets and their motion and other things. And then it was assumed that the thought was continued, all things behave in this way. All things are subject to these marvelous laws. Then you no longer had to talk about vitalism. You no longer had to talk about a mysterious energy of life, because it was all accounted for by these laws. Well, what about the butcher? He was there lurking in the background. In fact, you could approach it the other way and say, of course I need these laws, otherwise I couldn't run my shop, run my machinery. But when you're speaking that way, or when the scientist speaks that way, that he's learning these laws, he's always assuming there isn't some other scientist, some other butcher putting his hand on the scales. Now that's all right for the purposes of scientific description, but it does not allow us to talk about life. So the science has automatically excluded life from his picture. Even if the butcher, or even if the scientist doesn't put his hand on the scale, some mouse or some other living creature is going to interfere with this perfect system of laws. In fact, is going to use those laws to accomplish its own purpose. I mean, some animals know how to make traps go off so that they can get the food, but that's just a special case. All of life is based on the possibility of creatures using laws to build their own, build up their own interests. If you like, survive. Using things that they learn to their own advantage. That's what we call the turn in the theory. It's science turning back on itself and nature using law.